Hello, hello. And again, we wish to extend a very warm welcome to all of you that could make it for our Win with Zen, Leaving the Past Behind micro session. And since we will be hosting an international global audience, do us a huge favor as you come into the room, go ahead and drop into the chat where you're attending from and how you heard about us. So, by means of introduction, my name is Yvonne Nobles. I am a mindset coach and transformation facilitator, and I am on a mission to turn dreamers into doers, helping others win the war against anxiety. Because it's only after we've been coaxed out of our shells that we can embrace our birthright to be seen, heard, and celebrated. And before we go any further, just want to put your minds at ease. Obviously, it's going to be a little different from other webinars you might have attended. There won't be any slides. This is going to be an open dialogue. And also, today, nothing is for sale. So put your credit cards away, lean in, and step into the transformation that awaits you. By the way, because you've honored me with your most valuable asset, your time, I'm going to offer two special gifts before we part ways today. One of them is a powerful visualization exercise where you'll instantly dissolve knots of frustration to make way for peaceful Zen. So for all of those who took me up on the invite, I promised I was going to share three vital topics today. One is tackling imposter syndrome. Another is really grasping the antidote to fear. And finally, how we can't move forward unless we face our past. So let's go ahead and get started on that topic of escaping the clutches of imposter syndrome. How many of you here are familiar with exactly what that term is or feel like you've experienced it? If so, if you could just drop a 1 in the chat. Yeah, it's definitely something that's very prevalent nowadays. And oftentimes, the easiest way to understand what it is to think about a time when you've decided you were going to do something big. You were going to step outside your comfort zone, do something you weren't really accustomed to. And usually, what happens is you get attacked and overwhelmed with imposter syndrome. This is the feeling that you're not good enough. The questioning of why would I be qualified to do such and such? And if you think you're the only one going through this, that's so far from reality. Anyone who looks to do big things will face it. It is ever present. And the key is to make sure that it doesn't win. You know, one of my favorite childhood stories, one that you're probably familiar with, is The Little Engine That Could. And you have this little train that's trying to make its way up a mountain. Of course, when you're working against gravity, things get hard, right? And there comes a moment where he's starting to question if he can really do this thing. But there's an expression that he says repeatedly: I think I can, I think I can, I think I can. So, against all odds, and in spite of the naysayers, he made it. I'm going to ask you, what's on the other side of your mountain? What is standing in front of you today that you think is close to impossible to tackle? Whatever it is, rest assured, the more difficult an obstacle, the more vital that you overcome it. I'm going to repeat that again. The more difficult an obstacle that looms before you, the more important that you overcome it. And it all starts with mindset. There must be an intrinsic belief that you stand behind 110%, that you can. And remember, it is never too late to choose you. Even when a situation appears hopeless, there is always a way up and a way out. Think about someone that you look up to. Is it someone famous? Is it someone in your family? Go ahead and put in the chat, who is it that inspires you? Someone that you really, really admire. Awesome. It's likely someone that you deem to be successful, someone who's made it, right? What if I told you that for every win, they've gone through 1,000 losses? Every winner is really great at failure. So success really comes down to a basic formula of putting in the reps. That thing that scares you, that thing that you think is impossible and that you're not worthy of, go do it anyway. Never give up. We are in this to win. And the only way we lose is if we quit. Let's talk a little bit about the fear that tends to keep us feeling lonely and unfulfilled. I'm going to go back to that point about, have you ever noticed when you make a decision to reach a goal, that goal immediately becomes the most difficult thing that you've ever imagined? Suddenly, all of these feelings surface. You find yourself wanting to avoid working towards that goal. Maybe you're confused about how to go about reaching it. Possibly you're dealing with some overwhelm, thinking it's just too big, or doubt that, how could you possibly accomplish getting to your end destination? And lastly, if you've made any semblance towards trying, you might have some disappointment. You remember that old cliche, if first you don't succeed, try again, because oftentimes that first attempt is not going to land on success. But all those feelings, those emotions, those thoughts, the avoidance, the confusion, the overwhelm, the doubt, the disappointment, those are just different ugly faces of fear. And it's likely that you've heard the expression that fear is false evidence appearing real. Well, I'm not going to tell you that it's possible to completely eliminate fear from our lives. It is something that is ever present. However, the way that we encounter and process it is what distinguishes a winner. In other words, feel the fear and do it anyway. So I've come up with an interesting antidote to that false evidence appearing real. You want to hear about it? You've got to be brave. If you're taking notes, write this down. Battle ready after verifying the evidence. Again, brave stands for battle ready after verifying the evidence. In other words, once you realize that the very thing you're afraid of is something you don't even need to fear, that's when you truly step into your power. That's when you can take on any fight and win. I do want to put a small word of caution on this. Please remember, place a limit on the time and the energy that you invest into your thinking, your planning, your analyzing and taking a close look at that evidence, because that's only part of the equation. If you get stuck in a loop of overthinking, or as they call it, analysis paralysis, you'll never get to the goal. It's been said that the graveyard is the wealthiest place on earth. It's full of people that had amazing ideas that were never brought to life. So remember, action is where the magic happens. We do indeed need to feel the fear, become brave, step into the new identity, and don't forget to act on those brilliant ideas that are hatching inside. Final subject for today, we're going to talk a little bit about why it's impossible to move forward in life unless we first face our past. So you've probably heard the expression, stop looking over your shoulder. You can't go back. And that is absolutely true. We don't want to become engrossed or stuck in what happened yesterday or yesteryear. We can't change it. However, it is important that we embrace this fact. Fully processing the life we've experienced up till this very moment is intrinsic to where we go next. Did you catch that? It's not the events themselves, but the way that we process those events that really determines our ability to keep moving forward. In other words, what we do right now is building our later. You see, all the choices that we make today are actually going to create tomorrow. So, in essence, we have the ability in advance to transform tomorrow's I wish I would have into I know I will. And I want to share with you why I'm so passionate about this subject. It is very important that you own your voice. Each one of us has a story to share, and failure to speak up and speak out is a disservice to the people that need you. 9 years ago, I'm talking spring of 2013, I found myself in a very different place. I was still in the same state here in Florida. I'd rushed down from New York, in fact, and I was sitting at the end of a bedside in a hospital. Reason being, I'd gotten the news that my father was on life support. I didn't realize how severe the situation was until I was actually there on site. He was in a coma. This man that gave me life, that was so full of wisdom, wit, and laughter, who'd survived unspeakable horrors of war on a battlefield, lie in a veterans hospital bed, unable to speak. All I could hear was the beeping of the machines that were keeping him alive. And since I had been informed that the very last thing to go is the sense of hearing, I used this opportunity to relive a lot of our precious memories. My husband even made up a playlist of music because when we were children and it met in Germany, my father taught him how to dance. So we played songs from the past, songs I knew my father loved. And once when he was getting one of his, brain scans, the tech was like, play that again because there was response. I decided in those 40 days of watching Dad fight for his life to share a message that everyone needs to share their story. Because things can change in the blink of an eye, and life itself is a gift. So, who is waiting for you to step forward, live your life to the max, and lift them to do the same? What's your story? How will you use the gifts that you have been given? Stop letting illusions tether you and hold you hostage. This is the point where we're going to do a visualization exercise. I'm going to invite you to close your eyes, silence any noise, and go ahead and take 2 very deep cleansing breaths. And what I want you to visualize is you're standing in front of a door. It's closed. And what you're about to paint the picture of is what is on the other side. What is the thing that you want most? Whether it's tomorrow, next 6 months, a year from now. What is your desire? Are you looking to own your own business? Are you looking to travel the world? Do you want time freedom so you can dictate your schedule and exactly when you spend time with your family, your friends, your loved ones? Do you want financial freedom so you're in a position to call the shots as opposed to having bill collectors call you? Whatever that thing is, I need you to see yourself on the other side of the door. What we're going to do is collapse time. We don't want you thinking this is a distant goal. We want you to immerse yourself in the reality of now. Because before you can get there, you have to feel, think, breathe, and be. Embrace the new identity now. Take another breath. Open your eyes. And whatever you're feeling, capture that. Lock it away safe. But before you do, think on this. When you actually materialize and manifest that thing that you want, that feeling that you have will be 100 times more powerful. Remember, it's vital to leave the past where it is. And I need you to make the single most important decision in your life. Stop standing in front of a closed door, wondering, what if? Instead, reach out your hand and turn the knob. Push with all your might, whatever it takes to get on the other side of that door. Because I promise you, what's waiting for you is more amazing than you can even imagine. I want to close by pointing out a vital truth. Awareness of a problem is never enough. Just awareness alone is a great starting point, but it will not solve the problem. There has to be a mindset shift. There has to be a plan and an implementation of action to consciously change the way you think. Because if all we do is step into awareness, that in and of itself will not lead to further change. We have to really observe ourselves, those around us, our environment, and really step into thoughts, the feelings, the emotions of being in control. Make a choice that actually moves you towards the life that you want. Because everything we want is a choice. And it all begins with a decision. Remember, even indecision is a decision. So why choose to remain stuck? So I am so grateful again that you've taken time out of your schedules to show up, show out. And if you think that this was something useful, by all means, reach out to me. Let me know. Of course, if you want to try to implement these steps on your own, I wish you the very best and nothing but success. But for those that realize that they could use a helping hand, I'm inviting you. Let's explore working together. Let's discover what it looks like to collapse the time required to get where you want to be. What will it feel like for you to get essential support to spot any blind spots that you may not be able to see yourself, work through those, and get to the next level? I'd love to invite you to book a call with me. I'm actually going to put in the chat a couple of things now, one of which is the invitation to book that call, wherein we'll go through, do a breakthrough discovery, and just really, really detail a plan to get you where you want to be. The other is my email, which is support@newuwow.com, so that if you have additional questions in the interim before you schedule, you can certainly reach out to me directly. Again, that's support@newuwow.com. In closing, a couple of questions for you. How different will your life be 1 year from today if you say yes to facing the thing you fear the most? What have you got to lose? On the other hand, what happens if you change nothing? If by default you choose to remain on the same path that you've been walking? So looking forward to connecting. Biggest benefit will be the accountability element, really getting in the room with others that are on the same path as you. The collective strength in numbers cannot be valued. It's priceless because the energy of actually being with others who are making waves, it can't help but lift you higher, faster. Thank you again for tuning in to Win with Zen, Leaving the Past Behind. And this is Yvonne, Mindset Coach, Transformation Facilitator, looking to celebrate all your success. See you next time.